Okay, so my name is Philippos Ziakas, and I'm based in Adelaide, South Australia, as of now. I was born in Athens, Greece. I moved to Australia when I was 12 and a half years old in 2008, September 22nd.
Who did you move with when you moved to Australia?
So I moved with my mum and my sister.
So your dad didn't come with you.
No, he stayed in Greece. My parents separated when I was about six.
What's your first memory of your father?
I've never actually thought of this. I can't really pinpoint it, but what I always found fascinating is when I look at pictures of me as a baby and, you see him holding me, and there's a really cool one of him at the beach, shirtless, and he's got me on top of him, his shoulders, and he's put a little pirate kind of bandana on my head. And, I'm maybe like, 6 months old or a year. And I always kind of thought, like, why do I not remember this? I wish I did.
How would you describe your relationship to him?
Casual and friendly, but not necessarily the deepest. We've got a lot of things in common in terms of interests. And every time we catch up, which is quite rare in person or talk online, like we always seem to get along. And so I wouldn't say cold because he's not a cold person, but I would call it quite casual. It's funny because sometimes we might not talk for months and then we start chatting, and it's like right back on track. It's like a friend you haven't seen for years. But I had a really interesting moment when I was in Greece last time. I was just kind of looking at him, and I could see so many similarities in mannerisms and things that we would do. It's just like all this DNA stuff, just like the way we hold things and look at things was so similar, which is very beautiful. But then, I remember that every time I wanted to say something, go deep with certain topics, like I always hesitated, and I think he always did too. And we didn't really talk about anything. And I think I kind of said to myself, "Look, your dad's a bit of a it's a bit like Peter Pan. He's a bit like a boy that kind of refused to grow up. And rather than kind of try to force him to grow up, you should just accept how he is and just embrace the fact that you have things in common and you can enjoy those things together."
How did you learn a lot of things that a father is supposed to teach you?
Probably sounds weird to say, but like a lot of the kind of father figures that kind of I looked up to and kind of went, there's a man who looks after his family, were either from friends' parents or through films. I remember in particular, and I know we've talked about this before, but there was that movie called About Time, the scene where Bill Nye and Donald Gleason see each other for the last time, and they, decide to go back in time just one last time without changing anything. I remember watching that, and it really hit me. And I was watching it at home with my mom and my sister, and I said to them, oh, fuck this, like, what a stupid film. I walked out, went into my room, started crying. It's not like my dad is a bad guy. He kind of taught me that it was okay for men to cry. He's not the typically kind of, man who will try to discipline you and none of that, because I don't necessarily think that that's a good father figure. Like, I think a good father figure is someone who rises up to challenges no matter what they are and shows emotion and great level of communication with both his partner and his children. And because, there are moments where when you are emotionally vulnerable and you have to express it. And I think that's one of the, I guess, biggest lessons that my dad gave me is that, it's okay for a guy to be emotional.
Who taught you how to shave?
I still technically don't know how to shave. Every time I shave with an electric razor, which is really easy. But, I do my best, but I've never actually shaved with an actual razor and, like shaving cream and all that. No one has ever showed me how to do that. Never done it.
How do you feel that men in your life in general, how do you think they've set the example for you, specifically when it comes to being a father?
Well, they've certainly taught me what not to do. It's funny, Ben, because I find the more I think about it, depending on your personality and who you are, it seems that quality time is more cherished than quantity time. However, with children, it's the opposite. Children want quantity. Even if the quality isn't the best, quantity is important. How much of the time you're there is important. It's that classic thing of you could be at home as the parent and the kid is in the other room doing their homework, but they know you're home, so they feel safe just because they know you're there. If you were to leave and they were alone, everything crumbles. They need to feel that you're there. If your kid sees you once every 6 months, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how much money you spend on them or how many things you buy, like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, you know? they're still going to feel empty when you leave. So, yeah. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for the doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son.